Hey there, it's JP1970, and I'm here to talk to you about this guy right here.
It's going to be a 1,000-mile review talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly on the 2022 Ducati NightShift Scrambler. So what you'll notice is it kind of blends a couple different styles. We've got the rear, the no fender. We've got the bobbed front fender. We've got the racing plates, the number plates on the side. Normally on the stock version of this bike, you have a flat 2-up seat, got the flat bars, and the bar end mirrors. So when talking about the good things about this bike, that's the first thing that struck me was just the look of this bike. It's available in this one color, this aviator gray color, which I think is just really fantastic. It's just kind of this matte finish, and this is a steel tank, and then these are aluminum side, just kind of side pieces. It comes with an 803cc motor, which is capable of putting out nearly 75 horsepower. I believe they have it rated at 73 horsepower and nearly 50 foot-pounds of torque. I think it's 48.7 foot-pounds of torque. I can put a link to all those specifications at the end of this video, and you can check those out at your leisure. But so what they're able to do with this 803cc motor, which is a motor that is not new, it's one that they've been using, and when I say they, of course I mean the Italians, those guys at Ducati. They're able to really put out a bike that is a blast to ride. Between 73 horsepower, 50 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, this thing will get up and go, and it's just kind of, I would consider it just a little muscle bike. This bike right here, very much a muscle bike. So while we're talking about the good, let's see, it has the 6-speed transmission, chain driven. It has ABS brakes. Let's take a look at the gauge here. So it's got the ABS indicator. It's also got 1,023 miles. It's got a tachometer. It's got a fuel gauge, clock, I beg your pardon, mileage, clock, tachometer, and a fuel indicator, as well as a neutral indicator with a green light there. In addition to that, it also has an LED headlight. It has DRL, daytime running light, and then it also has an LED headlight. So there's the daytime running light, just this circle that runs around. We'll fire it up, and let's see. So now we've got the daytime running lamp, and then if we switch that off, there is the LED headlight. It's also got an LED tail light. Let's take a look at that. There's the LED tail light. Now the rear fender, I guess if it were to have one, would be this right here. Would be this license plate holder, which acts as a fender. Personalized plate might be available in your state. It was in mine, and I had to get it. And then there's the kill switch. Okay, so yeah, so the rear turn signals, the turn signals I do not believe are LED. Now, one other good thing about this bike, in addition to all the other things, is you get under here, okay, it's a key, you need the key to take off the seat. There's a lock down here, okay, there we go. So you insert the key, turn the key, and the seat lifts out and lifts off. And looky here, folks, you got the tool bag, and you got the tool bag. I suppose you got a little bit of storage there, not too much. And then in addition, you also got a USB adapter or a USB power source, which I ran up to my wireless quad lock charger up there. Now we put this back on like so, and here's the lock. The pin just goes right in there until you hear the click. Get your key back, and you're good to go. Also, the 2-into-2 exhaust, the stock exhaust. It's got the 18-inch spoked front wheel, and then it has the 17-inch rear spoked wheel. So those are the good things about this bike, okay? bar end mirrors, flat bar. Now, let's talk about some of the bad things about this bike. So the first thing I want to point out as a bad thing is it doesn't have cruise control, which I realize maybe a lot of people don't really care too much about that. But when I get out and ride, I kind of like to be able to rest my throttle hand. And so I love having cruise control. No cruise control. No, it does not come with heated grips or a heated seat. This is a Corbin, obviously it's an aftermarket seat, but the stock seat was not heated. And those are a couple of small gripes, I suppose. One other gripe or complaint about this bike would be the fact that the services on this bike tend to be kind of pricey. So for example, when I had the 400 mile service done, I paid $375 to have the oil changed and to have well, whatever else they do in that first service, which I'd like to think they do a few things besides just an oil change. The next service will be at 7,500 miles, and that's where they adjust the valves. That service runs more like $1,000. So that's kind of an expensive service. So I got to consider that a con. Another con about this bike would be the gas tank. It only is a 3.6 gallon tank, so it gets roughly 50 miles to the gallon, so figure about 170 miles maybe out of a tank of gas, if I'm doing my math correctly, which is not, that's not terrible, but if you're riding with Harley guys and a bunch of guys with 5 gallon tanks, you will have to stop more often than they will, obviously. Let's see, any other cons for this bike? I'm telling you, I have a hard time coming up with things. It is just such a blast to ride this bike. So I'm going to say that overall, my verdict on this bike, after 1,000 miles of ownership, and I know you've heard me say this before, it's kind of the honeymoon phase. After 1,000 miles, it's easy to be in love with a bike that you just bought. But I am in love with this bike. It just is, it fills a spot in my riding style where, I don't always want to pull out a full touring bike or my Honda Goldwing to go on a long tour. Maybe sometimes I just want a local ride, just a small, shorter ride. That's where this bike fits perfectly. Again, this is the 2022 Ducati Scrambler Night Shift. Thanks for checking out this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is JP1970. See you next time.